Hey, everybody. We want to welcome you in tonight. We're kind of running late, but not really. We'll explain that later. But appreciate you guys that have jumped on here. Little Magic Valley Speedway preview coming up. We're going to do two of them. We're going to do one tonight with some of the behind the scenes folks that make that place run. Patrick and I will be back on Tuesday night, probably about 6:30. We'll get a driver or two on here and talk about turning some circles in Twin Falls. But first and foremost, we want to get a couple of the behind the scenes gentlemen on stage here. Hey guys. So what nobody knows is we already practiced because I forgot to hit a
Yeah.
button and we were halfway through the interview almost.
Yeah.
It said 0 people watching. Now there is 77. So apparently they were all really excited to see your beautiful faces, and I screwed that up right off the bat.
I apologize to each one of them now.
I know. Yeah. So like I said, usually I got Patrick there to keep me on my toes, but obviously that didn't work tonight. So first off, I guess we'll start over. I probably forgot half the stuff I already asked you because I just pulled this kind of out of my rear end. So I'm gonna start with you this time, Riley, and we'll get to Spank. You got a different role down there in 2024. Tell us a little bit about what Riley is doing at Magic Valley Speedway this season. That really starts at noon tomorrow.
Yeah. So really, what I'm going to be doing is just mainly do wherever I need to be, wherever I need to be. Like if I need to be in turn one, corner flagging, that's what I'll do. If I need to go back on the flag stand and help out, I will. But I think my main role this year will be race control and up in the tower, helping do lineups and stuff. Just so when Spanky's down here in the pits doing his role, he doesn't be back and forth and stressing about what's going on up there, up top, and just so it's a little less stress on him.
Right.
And
Spank.
I'm really looking forward to having Riley in that role as a kind of like an assistant to help me out and make sure that part of the deal is running smooth up there so that we can keep the show moving. That's kind of one of the things that we kind of struggled on last year. So really looking forward to having him up there, give me a hand with it.
Right. So tomorrow we're getting ready for day number 2, testing tune number 2, Spank. How'd last weekend go? Weather was a lot better than last year. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, 10 times, 100 times better than last year for our first test tune. We had good weather last weekend. We had some double-digit car count, way more than what I think we had even expected. It was awesome. Had some new people in some new cars out, some old people in some new cars out. So it was good. It was a good opening practice, and everything went really smooth. So looking forward to tomorrow.
So tomorrow, let's go back a little bit to last year, how this all came about, because we just celebrated. I celebrated. We just have spent the first year without our dear friend that obviously neither of you would be sitting there. Dan Breach, of course, was put in a position about a little over a year ago to take control of that racetrack by Adam and the managing partners. Spank, take us back to a year ago, last February and March when, Dan was super excited about this opportunity. Tell us a little bit about what, as it got started last year, what you thought about Dan's, it's definitely would have been a dream come true for him.
Yeah, so I've never seen him so excited as what he was last year. He put in a lot of years down at Rocky Mountain Raceways, and he was, in charge of the oval track manager, but he wasn't actually completely in charge. And when he came back to Meridian, he really was gung ho in helping at Meridian. And so this deal came along, and it was going to be his deal. It was basically he was going to be running this down here. So he was so excited because he had so much hopes and dreams for this place, and really knew that he could turn this place around if he had given a chance. So he was totally excited about it. He was all ready to go. He was reaching out to put people together in that position to help him. And, there, a lot of us had stepped up and had volunteered to help however he needed, whatever he needed. And, so it was going to be a big deal. And then, and then everything just so quickly changed overnight. So.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, with losing him. And, I'll be the first to say, and I know all of us, the three of us, and I know we got like 4 or 5 people that are starting some comments and all very close to him. It's been a tough year. I mean, I know things were great down at Magic Valley. You know, the change. I mean, you're never going to change it overnight. I think Dan could have changed it overnight, but we're all going to fill those shoes. Um, but as a brother and a friend and a hero, as you guys get ready to embark on year number 2 down there, because Spank, this wasn't. I mean, when it started, I think your role has like quadrupled from what you and Dan had probably even talked about for you helping him out, right?
Yeah, so what my role was going to be last year was just be when he needed me. I really wasn't even going to be here every weekend. I told him, hey, man, I'll be here whenever you need me, whatever you need. But I really wasn't 100% sure I wanted to commit to being there every weekend. But I always told him, if you need anything, whatever it is, pick up the phone and holler. And so then when he got sick, I kind of changed my program and decided, hey, I'll come on and I'll be there to help you, and I'll be there for you because I realized that he was going to need some help. So my role kind of went a little bit more, but I had no idea that we were going to be, thrust into what we were so quickly. It was an overnight deal, and it was like I was like a deer in the headlights the first couple races. I really was. And if it wouldn't have been for a lot of good people down here, a lot of officials that were past officials that stepped up, jumped in, gave me a hand, and then the management people and all the people in Meridian, they're the ones that allowed me to be successful. And you know what? The racers too. The racers allowed me to come in and allowed me to be me. And, if I made mistakes, nobody held it against me. And everybody let me get my feet underneath me, and so I could be successful. And I appreciate all the help I got from everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big undertaking, and I think once things transpired and we lost him, I think all of us. I mean, even myself. I was the same as you. I told Dan when we're not at Meridian, I'll be down there, and it was that point. I was like, well, I'm going to be down there every weekend, and even if I'm standing there looking ugly and dumb, at least I'm down there because I promised him I would be. Also, Sam feels a little bit sorry for Patrick if he has to share any of that tower with you, Riley. So
Yeah,
you're gonna have to build a little bit of a wall in there.
Up there.
But as you see the people commenting too, we invite everybody to chime in. Let us know if you have some questions about the racing, the track. Like I said, we might not be able to answer all those questions today, but definitely want you to interact a little bit here with us as we talk to these guys. So Spank, let's go back. I think one of the cool things that we've all been doing this around each other forever, but I just want to know a little history, how you guys got involved, first you, Spanky, in racing. I mean, I know it goes back a long way. Just kind of bring maybe these fans and drivers that just saw you appear and do an amazing job last year like you did. But, what's the racing history with you?
So my dad raced when so as a kid, I grew up in racing. My dad raced open wheel cars. And so that's kind of where I came from, was from the open wheel side of racing. So I got involved, finally was able to get into racing, and like everybody else, got my first race car. It was way over my head. I didn't even know what the hell I was doing, but I was going to go do it and have a great time. And so got a street stock and ran a little bit of street stocks, and then decided that I just didn't have the money right at the time for it. And then me and Dan had met, and Dan was working as an official at Meridian Speedway for Kenny Hamilton at that time. Mm-hmm. And so he asked me if I wanted to come on board and be an assistant and help him. So that's kind of what got me out of the racing and into the officiating side of it, and started helping him with that. And then I ended up finally deciding I wanted to go back to racing, and I really wanted to give it a shot. Real good friends with Kenny Chandler and a couple of the guys that ran Pro 4s, loved the cars, was enamored by them. And so I decided that's the class I wanted to get into. It was a lot of camaraderie there, a lot of feel good stuff. And so got one of those and made a ton of memories, getting to go out of town and racing everywhere with it, and racing at Meridian, and had absolute blast. Never never a great race car driver, but I always had a lot of fun, so there was nobody that had more fun than me. And I spent a lot of money, but all that money bought a lot of memories, so did that, finally decided that was, I'd had my fill of that and I was broke. So no more of that. And then that's when Dan had went to Miniger's Rocky Mountain Challenge Series. And so I went over and helped them, and it's the same old deal. Here we go again. It's wherever Dan went, Spank kind of, tagged along right behind him, and so he was, he was always kind of the guy that was dragging me along with him, so went and did that. And I mean, I can't tell you how much fun that was, and the memories of being involved in that series and around great people. And I learned a lot, I learned a lot from Dan, but I also learned a lot from the other officials, whether it would be tech guys or lineup guys or, flagmen or whatever. I mean, we were all a tight knit group and learned what racing really was about and how to officiate racing, I feel. And it's been something that's, kind of been stuck with me ever since, how to do it and the right way of doing it. So that's kind of how I got into it. Started out racing a little bit and then went into the officiating side.
And then here you are.
Here I am. Yeah.
Here you are doing the whole gig. There you go. Riley Patrick said, don't worry, he's not going to let you bug him because he's going to close the door. So,
I'll right up.
Yeah. So Riley, tell us about you racing, racing history wise. What got you into the deal? I mean, we all have our own stories like Spank and Dan and everybody else. What's yours?
Well, I started racing beginner box stocks when I was 5. In fact, I raced with your son, Brock. That was some good times. And I raced go-karts till about 12, 13. Then I took a break, just hung around the racetrack at Meridian, and then at 14 years old, Spanky went to help the Pro Trucks with Randy Kerr. And Randy asked if I wanted to come and lend a hand, and at that time, my dream job was to flag. And obviously I couldn't due to the insurance because I wasn't 18 yet. So I got to help in the spotter stand, help doing tech and all that stuff. And then when I turned 18, I got that opportunity to flag for the Pro Truck Series. And then we all went our own ways in 2019. And I got the opportunity from Dirk, Adam, and Dan in 2019 to flag at Meridian. And thankful for them because I probably wouldn't be where I am today without them if they didn't give me that opportunity. And so I did all that through 2019. And then in 2020, 2021, I just took a break. And then 2022, my buddy Riley Rogers, drove the Caps Family Racing Sprint Car at 71. So I helped him out all year that year, and then a little bit in 2023. But then when I found out Dan was going to take over Magic Valley Speedway, run it and stuff, I reached out to him. I said, hey, I can go to 7-8 races. Am I able to come down and help you? And he said, absolutely. So when when we lost him, it hit me hard. So I reached out to Spanky and Adam, and I made sure, I was like, hey, does the offer still stand? Am I able to still come and help? And they said, absolutely. So between helping Riley with his sprint car last year and coming down here and helping them as much as I could, that meant a lot to me. And I got to be on the flag stand once. I was all over the pits running, doing Spanky's job sometimes. I was doing race control, and then this year, what got me to come back is I just know this is my passion. It's been my dream to help at a racetrack. I'd like to run one day, like Dan, like Spanky. But yeah, that's mainly how it all started, and that's where I'm at today.
Now, wait a minute. Because I think I saw it start, because I'm in my 19th year at the Speedway.
Uh-huh.
I think it started with a short little kid with
Oh,
his own set of flags
Yeah.
standing on the front row, right, Spank?
I was going to add that. He left out the highlight of how he
Yeah.
got started, standing up there
Standing behind the
behind
flag,
the flag man up there, throwing flags.
for I think that was like for like 12 years. I think I was doing that right behind the flag man. Then I remember my first time Dirk let me flag. I think it was Bandoleros back in the day when they used
Yep.
to run him. I remember my first race. Chase Gilbertson was going into 3 and he flipped it, and I was freaking out because I didn't know what to do. I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's my first time flagging," and but yeah.
And
So I forgot to mention that I did flag for like
see
12 years behind the flagman at Brady.
those us old guys don't forget that part, man. I tell you what,
Yeah.
because
I-
there's another one. There's a Riley Jr. He stands there every week again the last couple of
Yeah.
years. So look out, he's coming after you.
That's fine. That's fine.
And that's
But,
cool.
Yeah, we need that.
We need kids to be involved in racing, both racing and also kids that want to get into it in whatever capacity they can get into it. We're all getting older, and there's got to be somebody that's going to fill our shoes one of these days. So
exactly,
we need that.
you like that? See, Riley.
I wanted to add one thing. I forgot, and I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it up. When we were doing the Rocky Mountain Challenge Series, I also was helping out with Randy in the Truck Series, and I have learned there's another man that, I mean, the wealth of knowledge that comes out of that man's head is unbelievable. And you're fortunate enough to get around guys like Randy, guys like Mike Miniger, guys like Dan Breach, guys like Adam Nelson, who know how to run a racetrack and they know how to do it the right way. And there is a right and wrong way of doing it. And I mean, once you learn the right way, it becomes normal. And so when you go somewhere and you see something that isn't being ran the right way, it stands right out to you. So every time I go to a racetrack, when I get to go somewhere and watch races, half the time I'm not even watching the races anymore. I used to, but now I'm watching the flag man. I'm watching, the pit steward. I'm watching the people that are taking tickets at the front gate. I mean, you just watch all that because there's so much more to what we are doing other than just what happens on the racetrack. I mean, there's so much stuff that goes on behind the scenes to put that out there on the racetrack. So, yeah, I wanted to make sure I threw Randy in there because he was super helpful.
Yeah. And Randy's a future guest. I had texted Randy a couple of weeks ago. I want to get him on about, he's Magic Valley, the history, the Hall of Fame stuff that's going on down there. And I think Randy would be a great guest to get on here.
You know what? He jumped into that, and that was Dan's passion. That was another thing that really wanted to make sure, we had wire up there in Western Idaho that covered all that stuff. And there was nothing down here. There's nothing down here that brings up the history and who the people were and everything. And that was a big deal Dan was really into down here and starting that. And Randy has jumped right into that, and he's making that deal happen. And it's been phenomenal how much work he's put in for us to make sure that gets going. And I'm excited to see how that will grow, because I think that there's a lot of people down here that, need to be recognized for what they've done for racing in this area. So,
Right. Well, yeah. And I mean, that's something that, you and I are part of up here. And that's something else I want to throw in for people to know about you. I mean, your years on the Western Idaho Racing Association board and all this stuff. I mean, you guys went through a lot of that. See, even the phone was excited, it tipped over. But I mean, all the years with the 2 racetracks up here and all the stuff, you and Todd and Dan you were in the mix of that.
You know what? I started out as a street stock rep, little class rep, and I was running around passing out the checks and everything, and then 2003 when Adam got Chaparral and, and the club was so divided, the whole racing community was so divided. And instead of making more division, me and Todd Lebrani and Dan Breach, the 3 of us, and really I should say Dan Breach, Todd Lebrani, and me, drug along. They appointed me president, but dude, I mean, those guys were the ones that were the brain power behind it. And the goal was to make racers not choose where to race. Let's make it where they can run both racetracks and make it work for both racetracks. And it was a ton of work. And I mean, I can't tell you how many meetings after meetings after meetings that we went to. And it's tough when you're trying to get Adam Nelson and Kenny Hamilton, who are, trying to both run a business, and they're trying to run a business using the exact same customers, and and both of them are wanting to be successful and not wanting to really give up their turf, their territory, and
Tug of war.
they're giving up the racers, and they didn't like that, and so we were coming along and we were trying to patch that together, and it was incredible. But you know what? It was a year that I look back on, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. We whether people believe it or not, we did a lot for racing that year. And like I said, if it wouldn't have been for Dan and for Todd both, it wouldn't have happened, because I was just the mouthpiece up there. I was the guy that pushed the podium around during the meetings, and got loud occasionally, which is probably hard for a lot of people to believe here, because I'm so reserved and quiet. But it was something I was passionate about, and believed in it. And so we really went gung ho and made it happen, and it was a big deal. So, but.
Yeah. So I mean, those are just, like you said, those countless hours that you guys and lots of people in this community have put into just trying to better racing. And it's the stuff that maybe the drivers, maybe the fans, those are they don't see that. They don't realize that you and Riley are down there with your people on a Friday night getting ready for Testing Tune tomorrow, and everybody's just going to be looking at 6:30 on the 27th and be like, oh, look, it's all back, right?
Yeah,
there's a lot of work.
We rolled in here tonight, and we got people out there burning weeds and cleaning stuff and working on stuff. It's a Friday night. They've all worked their day jobs, and yet here they all are out here giving their time on a Friday night to make this successful. And that's the thing that I had brought up earlier. When I said that I was fortunate, because we got a bunch of people down here who are really all about wanting to make this deal happen. And I wouldn't be able to be here if it wouldn't be for the help that we were getting from all those people. They've all stepped up and gave me a big hand, and I'm lucky with all the officials I've got down here.
Right. Hopefully you guys can hear me, because you can't see me. Can you still hear me though? Even though I'm
Now we can't hear you.
Now we can't hear you.
Now you can.
Now we can't.
Now we can. You're back.
But you just can't see me, and that's actually probably much better for the longevity of the podcast. If my face is black, I'm not sure. I don't know what happened, but we'll just go with it.
If you turn the light, I might be see you.
What's that?
Uh-huh.
Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to talk. Oh, there we are.
There
See,
you
now I'm frozen again. Maybe I'm having an internet issue. I don't know. Either way, that's about as ugly as it gets right there. So we'll just see how it goes. So here we are. We're ready. We're ready to get this season started one more time. And what's it looking like down there now that you've been there a week? Last weekend, now you're back this weekend. Some improvements, just some general cleaning. What's going on at Magic Valley Speedway before we kick the gates?
Yes. So we rolled in here, and there's more cleaning that have been taking place. We got people down here working on getting everything ready for tomorrow. We still got a lot of stuff to get ready before next weekend, before opening night. But we're ready for practice tomorrow, and so yeah, it's just a work in progress going on down here each week. But it's amazing when you roll in and you see how much this has been changed, this has been cleaned, this has been done, and you just each time you show up, it's more and more stuff that's being done. So yeah, so we're looking forward to tomorrow. It should be exciting tomorrow.
So you guys working together down there, what's that? I mean, I think it was during our preview practice where somebody didn't make us go live, but Spank, what's it mean to you to have somebody like Riley down there helping you get this season started? I mean, I know you've got an army down there. All the originals stayed. Some new people came in. Just tell us about that whole crew and how.
Yeah. So inherited a bunch of good people that Eddie had. He had a bunch of good people, and they all stepped up. Had some new people come on board that had not been down here and had not even been into racing. Got a safety guy that was Dan's brother-in-law, Randy Bartlett, and he is phenomenal, great. One of the best guys I got down here. I got Alan, who also helps with safety and will do anything for you. Jacob, we got him on the flag stand, and I will tell you, I was amazed at how good he did last year. He stepped right up and jumped up there with not a whole lot of experience and made it happen. And he does a really good job for me. Got Pappy, Randy Kerr's dad, Pappy Kerr. He's like a fixture at Magic Valley Speedway, helping me with, teching cars, lining up cars. And I mean, he's just invaluable. I mean, what he brings to this racetrack and helps us is great. And then, I picked up a girl that started showing up and helping, and didn't even know she was going to get thrust into it. Rachel, and she's the lineup girl, and she is phenomenal. One of the highlights of the year last year was how good she did, how quick she picked stuff up, and she ran the pits. Between her and Pappy, she literally had this thing done. I'd look over my shoulder, nervous because, hey, how Adam runs a race. I mean, boom, we're one right after another, and I'd look over my shoulder. She'd have the next race already lined up, ready to go. I didn't have to worry about it. And so she did fantastic, last year. And we got guys like Scotty Gilligan that helps me part-time, and you got a whole bunch of people that stepped up and helped out last year. So, a lot of good people, and a lot of people that, went above and beyond last year to get us to where we're at.
Right. So Riley, you sent poor Spank and the crew down there all by themselves. What'd you do last weekend? I want you to get I know there's some people you need to shout out to that gave you a pretty cool opportunity Saturday night.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, let's go back to September. September, I got asked if I wanted to hot lap a mini stock. So I said, you know what? Sure, why not? I've never actually raced, so why not? So thankful to the McCalls, Ryan McCall, Ron McCall, and Jill. They gave me that opportunity to hot lap one, and they were surprised with how good I did, and honestly, I was surprised how good I did too. And then over the winter time, we sat down and we talked things out, and they gave me an opportunity to run it 3 times this year between working here full time down here on Saturdays and hitting some races down in Meridian. I ended up racing last weekend when I sent the crew down here to work for me. But without the McCalls, Michael Soyseth, it would have never been possible. Some of my sponsors, like Pit Stop USA, Ryan Phipps with Western Mountain Inc. Without them, there was no way I could have done it. But it was a challenging day for sure. But
You
it was
did just
fun.
about everything you could do in one day.
Absolutely.
I mean, right, Frank? I mean, we've tried it before. Riley just did it all in one night.
Yeah.
You got the whole season wrapped up in one day.
Yep. Tell us about it, because I walked out of the tower during practice, and practice didn't go so hot, right?
Yeah, so I did morning practice on Saturday, and I was the first car on the track, and went 3 laps and grenaded a motor. And me being me, I was bummed, and I just I wanted to give up. Like, I'm like, well, this is gonna suck. Like, I didn't think there was a backup motor or anything, and Ryan and his dad, Ron, they both looked at me and they said, start getting that motor out. We're going to go pick up the other one. I'm like, all right, done deal. So we start stripping down the motor. Got to throw out a huge thank you to Tyler Palmer, his dad.
Troy.
What's his
Troy.
name? Troy, thank you. Sorry, Troy Palmer, and then Taylor Ochapente. Appreciate their help. It's super cool to see a bunch of other racers come and help out, racers. But we got the motor in just in time for qualifying. Ran about, I think, like 12, 15 laps, somewhere around there. And I went on top of the board, quick time. I was shocked. Don't know why how I pulled that out of my butt, but I did. And then going into the heat race.
Every now and then you pull something good out of your butt. So
right. And then in the heat race, I started 5th and finished 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
And in the main event is where it all let loose. Let's just say that.
But before you say what let loose, first let me tell you, because you know, I can be honest with you, or I can just fill you full of crap too some days. But you were on the move and you were driving the crap out of that car. Um, and it was,
Yeah.
like I said, I haven't got to see you race. You know, when we were all doing
Yeah.
the kid carts and stuff, I never got to focus because I had my own.
Absolutely.
But from our side of the fence, you were driving that thing. You were driving the wheels off it. So now let's get to where the wheels weren't on it anymore.
Yeah. So I started, I think 13th, 14th, somewhere around there. And I I avoided a major wreck in 3 and 4, luckily. And I was up to 6th or 7th. And I got up to 2nd. I was chasing down Don Trafford. And I was driving a little over my head, personally, I think. Sent it in a little too hot going into 1 on the outside of a lap car and overcorrected. And I hit the wall, and walls don't move. So,
No, they don't.
but
Concrete jungle.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know. So, but you know what? It sucks, but it's a learning curve. Me and the McCalls, we're going to, get at it and try to fix it up, so I can be back in September when my next race is.
Awesome. Well, but like I said, I want to, that family, Mike Soyseth, the McCalls, another amazing racing family. Just, they gave you that opportunity, and it might not have ended up the way you wanted to, but like I said, pretty damn impressive from our side of the fence. We've all wrecked 1 or 2, or look at the job I do now. There is a reason. About being broke. There was a big reason, but I'm proud of you, man. It was a good showing.
I
And he
appreciate it.
he did awesome. I mean, it was so fun to watch him out there. He was doing so great, and I was telling him when we were driving down here tonight, I was like, man, I was so badly wishing I had a radio in his ear and say, dude, come on, man, just don't overdrive the car, because he was doing so good. He was catching the leader, and he was doing a great job. And just it happens so quick. You get that car, it gets loose on you just a little bit, and you don't think about it for just a second, and it all changes in a heartbeat. So, but he was doing a great job, and I was so proud of watching him. He was phenomenal. So I was like, well, if he keeps going and he wins this race, I'm going to lose my my helper. I was looking forward to having him help me all year, and I was really leaning on him to give me a lot of help this year and be that guy beside me, to give me that help. And I was like, well, there goes my helper. He's headed off to NASCAR. I'm going to lose him before we get to the first race. So,
Right.
But hopefully I'll be able to keep him all summer, and then he'll get to go try it again in September again. So
Yeah. So no, that was an awesome race to watch, and that was going to be a hell of a finish, because that was the only car on the track that was catching the 96 was the one you were wheeling. So you'll be back.
They gave me a rocket for sure. So.
And a beautiful rocket. We got Mike Soyseth with Performance Signs. He did some work for me last year, and he's a sponsor of the show just because I promised him that, and then I didn't do a show for a year because I'm just that's the way last year went. But Mike does great work. So any of the racers out there that want to get some graphics on their cars, I know Spank and I, that's going to be a name we bring up when we're doing some IHRS stuff. I bet you could put a heck of a wrap on a trailer.
Yep.
As things of that go forward. So what are you guys looking forward to? I mean, we're fulfilling our best friend's dream. We're working for one of the best promoting and management groups in short track racing, and they're giving you guys the keys to this deal down there. What are you looking forward to this year?
I'm looking forward to seeing it take the next step and continue to keep growing. It's going to be a process, and nothing happens overnight. But I think we made a lot of strides last year, from when the first part of the year until the end. And you're 100% right. We have the best, I feel, best management team and ownership group supporting us, and they are there to do whatever they can to help make you successful, and really looking forward to helping make this place successful year 2 and keep growing it for Adam and Highway 16 and Kelly Joe and all them, and also for that guy that's not here anymore. I know he's there watching, and I just want this place to be successful for him too. You know what I mean? So whatever we can do to make it, whatever we can do to turn this place around and try to get it back to the glory days, that's what I want to see happen. Remember coming here, back in the 90s, and it was the place to be on Saturday night. And when York had the place, and that's what I hope to be able to see it again, get it back to that day again. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember, even down there when when Todd was doing the Pro 4 Challenge Series and go down and help. And yeah, it was just, it was a welcoming environment. The crowd was there. The cars were there. One night last weekend last year when we were down there, it was early in the season, but we were running out of transponders and we were running out of places to park race cars in the pits. I mean, unheard of down there for many, many years for many, many reasons. And, and those are all by the wayside. It's just a matter of bringing in a fresh look.
Yep.
What about you, Riley? Full-time Magic Valley Speedway. What's your goal? What's your ultimate? I know you say you want to maybe get into this management thing. And don't forget, there's 2 announcers for hire whenever you do.
Yeah.
Don't forget about the old guys.
Yeah, my goal is, just obviously make sure, everyone that steps foot into the gate leaves happy. I mean, you can't make everyone happy, but just make them happy, and then obviously working with some of the officials here, getting them up to speed and everything. Alan, he's doing a great job, like you said. And then Jacob, Randy, and yeah, I'm just really looking forward to it, honestly. So it should be a good time.
So the behind the scenes, you guys are all ready to rock and roll. One more time, some of the drivers jumping on Spank tomorrow's times. What's the times people?
So we're going to throw the gates open at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. People can come in and start getting unloaded. We'll start teching cars. We'll start getting all that stuff out of the way. And then we'll go hot on the track from noon to 5. Hopefully we have a bunch of more cars here again, and hopefully we'll have some more new people out and have some of the older ones from last year back out getting their stuff ready to go. And really looking forward to tomorrow. I think that it should be exciting having that opportunity to get the season going. Great weather tomorrow, so should be good, and make sure we're all ready to go, because the next weekend at Showtime, here we are. We're gonna go make it happen, and I want to try to get everything ready to go tomorrow so that we're ready to go for the 27th.
Yeah, and the 27th, like you said, you can't really start it with much bigger of a bang than the Speed Tour sprint cars, powered by Pit Stop USA, are coming with the Western Mountain NASCAR late models. That's going to be a good division. Midgets have always been it's Magic Valley and Rocky Mountain was their spot, so it'll be cool to see a good group of midgets. McDonald's street stocks, Pepsi mini stocks, bombers, bandoleros. I mean, if we're going to start with a bang, you might as well do it all the way across the board, right?
You bet, man. We're gonna throw them all out there, and hopefully we're gonna have some great car count in each class, and put on some great racing, and have a great time, have a good night, have a good time. And like Riley said, try to have everybody show up, have a great time, load their cars in one piece, and go home happy. That's the goal every Saturday night, down here, is to try to make sure the racers have a good time when they come here. That's always been my goal.
Right. And on the 27th, just for everybody watching, we're going to pack up because Meridian's going to be doing a drift competition. The drifters are going to do their test and tune on April 27th. So we're going to load up and bring the Flow Racing broadcast down to Magic Valley for the season opener. All the Speed Tour sprint car events in 2024 are going to be broadcast live on Flow. We'll get some other streaming going on down there on speedcast.tv too. The rest of the events at Meridian are on speedcast.tv. And I just want to do a shout out to those guys. I mean, the Flow, the Speedcast during COVID, that's when it all, Adam was like, this is a good time to pull the trigger on this. And Dusty and Tyler Shield really jumped on to get that. Wayne DeZubak was helping me out, because we couldn't have anybody in the stands, but we still wanted to share our passion. But what I do want to say is, the flow is covering all of our Speed Tour sprint car stuff. We're going to do speedcast.tv at Meridian, and we're going to get down there a couple of times too for some normal events. But you really got to shout out, because I think behind the scenes, we know what you guys are doing. It's like a 5-person gig, and it don't matter if there's a flow banner on the screen or a Speedcast banner. It's the same 5 people. It's Dusty and Tyler, Don, Chuck, myself. Of course, we couldn't do it without Adam and them giving us our graces. But it's the new world of short track racing, right? You can sit down and watch any short track in the country at any given time. And I just want to give a shout out to those guys, because we've gotten a lot of flow, Speedcast, that sort of thing. It's kind of like if you like Pepsi and we gave you 2 cups, one said Coke, one said Pepsi, and we filled them both up with Pepsi. It's all the same behind the scenes. It's the same hard work. It's the same thing. It's the people working their tails off. So we're going to work really hard. We're going to get, and Patrick down there and his wife and family have been a huge help up in the booth.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about the on-track people that help. Now you get up into the tower. I got Donna and Ellen up there, scorers, and they do a phenomenal job. And Patrick, he worked at RMR with Dan. That was Dan's vision to bring Patrick back. Patrick does a fantastic job. He really does. He's passionate. He's intelligent. He does a great job, and I feel fortunate to have him there. And then I get when we get you to come down, it's really cool to have you guys bantering back and forth a little bit. I always look forward to when we have a dark night at Meridian, and I know, hey, that's going to be cool, because I'm going to have Brent show up, and between Brent and Adam being Adam and Patrick, the 3 of you guys, bantering back and forth and everything. It's cool, and I always enjoy that. It's he brings a lot to the deal, and so we'd be in trouble if we didn't have a good announcer. And we do have a great announcer. So
yeah, no, Patrick does a great job, and I asked him one time if he wanted to do a podcast, and I forced it and put his name on it, and no, this is yours. So he's jumped in and helped me do this. The last text I sent him before we came on, I'm like, okay, I got Spank and Riley. You get to find some guests for Tuesday, and he's right on it. We did a cool interview with Natalie Waters last weekend or weekend before last. One thing I wanted to mention on that too, Natalie texted me. I just want everybody to know, and we'll talk a little bit more about it when we're down there at Twin. Because we were talking about Dan and how, down at Rocky Mountain, Natalie was a quarter midget racer, and, all the stories she had. After we went off the air last week, she texted me. She's like, oh, I forgot to tell you that for 2024, I've got Dan's ashes mounted to the dash of the #1 sprint car. So plus I'm glad she didn't do it on the air, because I'm going to cry now, and I didn't want to cry in front of a girl. But she, and for Sam and Randy, everybody. So yeah, so it just shows you how many lives that guy touched, and he's going to be cruising around in a Speed Tour sprint car. They had some mechanical problems, didn't make it up to Meridian, but I know they're going to be down there on the 27th. So I wanted to share that because Natalie asked me to, and we'll do a couple interviews with her when we get her down there at Twin. But kind of a cool side note.
Yeah, I think there's a whole bunch of us that got Dan on our hearts, and then literally wearing around our necks, and hasn't came off since it went on. Won't come off, and it's testament to what the guy was, and I feel like I got a piece of him with me all the time, and I'm thankful that I have that, lucky to still have him in my life. So
right, yeah, and I know, I'm kind of a sappy guy some days, but when I was posting about Dan on the 17th, I'm going to do it every year till the day I'm not here anymore, because there's very few people that walk into your life that make a difference, and especially to me. He was a brother that I never had, and he was awesome. So if people don't like to hear me whine and cry about my best friend being gone, then hit pause and come back, and we'll talk about race cars afterwards, because that's the way it is.
Thing is he touched so many people's lives, and I wanted to make sure that nobody ever forgets him. And if you met him, you'll never forget him. You know what I mean? If you met him, you'll never forget him. He was a one-of-a-kind person. But I want to make sure that people that don't know who he is know who he is. I want to, make sure that people know how great of a man he really was and what they missed out on. He was a one of a kind. So
Yep, definitely. And like I said the other day on my post, so now we know Dan. He tell us to zip it,
Yeah.
grab the flags, get off your ass, and let's go racing, right? And that's what we got to do the rest of the year.
And that is true. One thing I'd like to add is, he wouldn't want us to be sitting around having all these conversations about him. He'd want us to be talking about the race cars. He'd want us to be talking about the racers. He'd be wanting us to talk about the fans. You know what I mean? Dan never wanted any of the accolades at all, ever. He was always about everybody else. And so I know right now he's shaking his head up there going, come on, guys, stop talking about me and talk about other stuff. But anyhow,
yeah, he definitely had something to do with the internet freezing on an ugly face for me. I can guarantee you that, because he was done hearing it. But yeah, so with that though, let's do what he wanted. Let's get ready for year number 2. Adam and the managing crew and everybody I know. I was at practice last night, and they're already talking about getting down there this week and getting the final spit shine on Magic Valley Speedway. And Larry and everybody's down there working their tails off. And before you know it, we'll be converged down there. Big night for Sprint Car Opener. Not gonna let you guys go yet though, because I want to talk about Meridian real quick. And like I said, I don't got Patrick, so I have to got a couple of comments there we wanted to get on. But Meridian Speedway, it's a little change, something a little bit different. We are going to go boat racing in April, which we have not done. Normally it's Smash-A-Rama later in May. Crown Utilities Boat Race of Destruction. We've got a Dairy Queen bike race for kids. Yeah, we got something for Riley to ride. It's okay, Riley. We'll put some straw bales in turn 2 so you don't hurt your bike.
Yeah, you might overcorrect.
See, I was gonna bypass that, but you just bring that out of me. You brought that all in.
That's fine.
NASCAR mods. It's cool to see the mods back out. The Domino's Legends, Street Stocks, Hornets, and Bombers will be running up here on Saturday night. Jesse James Lawson, just before we cut off here so everybody can enjoy their weekend. Of course, we know, speaking of dear people that we lost, Sam Newcomer showed up here at Meridian Speedway years ago and was an instant fan favorite, instant racer favorite. I can't tell you the times that Sam would call me during the week. And I didn't, I knew him just sponsors walking through. When Todd would have him on the podcast, when I was helping Todd and DJ, we'd meet. And just out of the blue, the guy would call me and say, hey, Brent, what are you doing for lunch? I'm like, well, I don't know. And Sam we'd go out to lunch, and we wouldn't talk about, the racing drama or any of the crap that we knew was surrounding us. He was another Dan Breach. He just wanted to talk about the family and the race cars. Sam had a long battle of his own with cancer, and lost him. He was actually at the car show. Michelle brought him to the car show in a wheelchair, and he was going to the very end. It was going to be motorsports. And I reached out to Jesse after we lost him and said, hey, Street Stocks, that was his class. That's what he was doing up here. Let's find something to do for it, for him some point during the year. Street Stocks are making their season debut since it was rained out on April 6th. So pretty cool thing. I talked to Brent and Adam. We're going to allow Sam Jr. They were big into drag racing too. And Sam had a beautiful blue Camaro. Sam Jr. is going to get to pace the first Street Stock race of 2024. We'll put him out there with Richard in the Corvette and that Camaro. Something I think Sam would be pretty proud to see, because it was all about his kid.
Yeah. Family man. Another guy that was just an incredible human being, so full of fight and not letting things dictate to him. He dictated to it. Him and Dan both showed us how to fight, and right to the very end. And I was so amazed by him, and he had so much knowledge and just a great guy too. I mean, you just sit down and start talking to him, and you just instantly, you felt such a bond to him, and he just was incredible. He was great guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Jesse gave him an opportunity. He ran a street stock last year. It was a cool moment. But like I said, he lost his fight. He fought it longer than any of us really knew. I mean, he had
Right.
that fight inside of him. So Sam Jr. is going to get a chance to come out and pace the street stock main event on Saturday night. Little things, that are really lifetime memories for Sam Jr. and Michelle. Then the cool thing, and I can relate, and you remember back in the olden days, Spank, when we'd have like a fast trophy dash, and then we'd have the slow trophy dash, the A and the B when we had
Yep.
millions of street stocks. Jesse let me know that because they're all from the California area, Orange Show Speedway, All American Raceway, everything down there. He said Sam's claim to fame, the only trophies he ever won at Orange Show was the B dash. But when there was a B dash, he was going to win that thing,
Right.
So the management at Meridian Speedway has been gracious enough to allow us to run a B dash on Saturday night in memory of Sam Newcomer. 4 laps, race car number 4, and the winner of that race is going to walk away with $400. Jesse James Lawson is going to put up some money, and in Sam's name, his wife Michelle is going to match that. So, it's the cool little things that we can do for our friends and their families that aren't with us anymore.
Awesome.
So I appreciate Jesse for stepping up, and I really appreciate Adam and Brent and those guys because like I said, we're trying to run the show, we're trying to get everything done. We got boat races and stuff to crash, and pits to party in, and everything else. So to allow us to slide those couple of cool things in for Sam, I appreciate it, and I know Michelle and Sam Jr. and everybody does too. So,
Absolutely.
all right, guys, I'm gonna let you get. I know that it's Friday night; you got a lot to do down there. Find me some guests. Corner that Kerr guy and tell him we got to find a week to get him on here and hear the whole story.
I'll make sure about that. He's the guy that tell you about Magic Valley, all the glory days. So
Yes.
yeah, make sure.
So for Patrick, and like I said, Patrick's going to be back. We'll get him back here on Tuesday night. We're going to find a couple of Magic Valley Speedway race car drivers so we can get a other side of the fence preview and see what the drivers are excited about in year number 2. And then we're going to be live with Riley and the crew from
Black Canyon.
Black Canyon. I just had a total mind blank there.
You're good.
It's even written on my paper, but I totally forgot what I was saying. So we're going to switch outlaw carts next Wednesday. I'm going to go out to the track and meet you guys out there, and we'll take a little walk and talk a little bit about Black Canyon. I know a bunch of the folks are racing out at the Speed Bowl tonight and tomorrow night, so it's kart season, it's racing season, and I appreciate you guys taking an hour out of your time to hang out with us tonight.
Absolutely, we appreciate it.
Thanks for having us on. Appreciate it.
All right, man, and we will see you guys back down there at Magic Valley Speedway. Flow Racing going to televise the season opener with Patrick and myself, Adam, and you guys on April 27th. Have fun at Test and Tune, and we'll clean up the racetrack up here, and we'll come see you next weekend.
You have a great night tomorrow night there at Meridian.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
All right. So appreciate those guys for coming on and hanging out with us. Appreciate you guys for jumping on board and supporting not only the podcast, but you're really supporting racing in the Treasure Valley in the Northwest. Any ideas you have for Patrick and I, send them our way. Guests, topics, comments, criticisms, whatever. We'll take it all. Meridian Speedway tomorrow night. It's Boat Race of Destruction. Gates open at 4:45. We're going to go racing at 6:30. You want to get your tickets and your seats early. It's going to be a beautiful Saturday. All the classes on the schedule will be their season debut. Again, we want to thank Riley and Spank for joining us from down there at Magic Valley Speedway. We want to thank the folks that kind of stepped up and helped us get this thing going. We already talked about Mike at Performance Signs and Graphics, Idaho CDL Training, and the group at Western Cargo Services. You can watch the podcast on YouTube channels at the bottom of the screen, on the X, or right here on Facebook. But definitely share the page and let us know what else you'd like to see. Our friends down at Magic Valley Speedway, keep chiming in. Send Patrick and myself some messages. Let us know what you want to hear and want to talk about. Be safe at practice tomorrow. We'll be out at Meridian Speedway. It's going to be live on Speedcast.tv. If you don't got your Speedcast.tv subscription, get it now, so that if you can't make it to the track, you won't miss a lap at Meridian Speedway. So for Patrick, Riley, and Spank, I appreciate those guys for coming on. I know they took some time out of their night. They had a lot of stuff going on down there, so I do appreciate them helping us out and giving us a little sneak peek at the final test and tune. And Patrick and I will be back Tuesday night with a preview of the racing side. Riley's going to be back. We're going to be live from Mehmet, Idaho at Black Canyon Raceway for a little raceway preview as they get ready for their season opener there, as they get things dried out after the rain. So like the pages, share the pages, send us some comments, and we will see you on Tuesday night right about 6:30.